Well, Times Square is one of the most famous places in the world, but like much of New York, it has been very quiet over the past 14 months or so. But that is about to change. So, with me to explain more about what's happening in Times Square is Tom Harris, the acting president and COO of the Times Square Alliance. So, great to have you, Tom. As we were talking, I work in Times Square, so I know what it's been through. So let's start on a positive note, though. There are restaurants opening up. Can you explain the current conditions as we sit here in the first week of May?
So first, thanks so much for having me and for focusing on Times Square. It's not as dead as people think. The last couple of Saturday nights, we've had over 175,000 people walk through Times Square. I just left the reopening of Junior's. So you can now get cheesecake in Times Square. Junior's is an icon. It's been in Times Square for 15 years, and its closing was sad. They reopened today. So along with 18 other businesses that have reopened in the last couple of weeks. So we are encouraged. We have our pedestrian counts, like I said, are inching up. We're up from our average that we maintained from September through January of about 100,000 people a day. So that's a significant increase. With the easing of restrictions, with more people getting vaccinated, with the pent-up demand, with people's comfort and confidence returning to their new norm, I'm very optimistic about Times Square in the very near future. And then beyond, we are going to fall forward from this pandemic and be stronger for it.
Yeah. Where do you think we go from here? Like, how will this change things in Times Square? Or do you think we'll be, in a couple of years back to where we were in New Year's Eve, 2019, for example?
So I think Times Square always reinvents itself. I've been here for 13 years and no block is the same as it was 13 years ago. So we've done this before. We've been through transformations. And I think this is another transformation. It's a reset of priorities, refocusing on what matters in Times Square and just reimagining our future.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you hear from the offices there? I mean, there's banks, there's law firms, advertising agencies. Are they, because that's going to be crucial, especially for the restaurant industry, bar industry. What are you hearing from them?
So every day I get a call from another business talking to me about reopening, asking me how it is. I never left. Our staff never left Times Square. We've been here through the pandemic. And we are ready to welcome people back. And that's what I tell them. It is safe. People should feel it's clean, it's safe, it's healthy, and we're welcoming people back. Next Monday, we're going to have a meeting with our top employers just to see what their plans are so that we can pivot and adjust our plans. But I do see people trickling back to the office, and I think that trickle is going to increase, and it's going to be a full flow of people returning in the very near future.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. And I miss coming to work in Times Square. I mean, I miss, meeting people for lunches after, and, it was just a great place to do business. And okay, so what about some of the events? So of course we know New Year's Eve, and then there's so many things going on in Times Square. I mean, where do those stand?
So throughout the pandemic, we managed to find ways to carry on all of our signature events and even add some new events. So we have really found ways to make them both in person and then digital. This year, we're going to be more in person than digital. We're still going to have a digital component, but our midnight moment this month is David Hockney. So he's a famous artist that are on all of our screens, are on 77 of our screens every night from 11:57 until midnight. We have some plaza programming events. We're going to have jazz in Times Square. Lincoln Center Jazz will be performed in Times Square. We just have a new partnership with Carnegie Hall where we're going to try to do some performances here. We have our Broadway buskers. Our signature events, Taste of Times Square, will be a little bit different this year, but we're going to find ways to do it so you can be in that restaurant. Our solstice event, we will be doing yoga in Times Square. Last year, there was one person doing yoga in Times Square. There will be a lot more than one person this year. With Broadway coming back, I'm sure we'll have some events that welcome Broadway back. And then New Year's Eve, we managed to do New Year's Eve in Times Square this past year and have a live audience, which was the first live audience in event in a while. And this year, I can guarantee you there will be more people in Times Square to celebrate the end of 2021.
Awesome. Well, I think it sounds like a great summer for Times Square ahead with all those events. And it sounds like a lot of them are outdoors. So if people are still a little nervous or not vaccinated yet, you can still be outdoors. So
yes, and we always have. The one thing that never ended was the greatest free show in New York City, and that's people watching and sign watching in Times Square from the iconic red steps. So Jane, you come back and others will follow.
Oh, I'm ready. So, well, thank you, Tom. Best of luck. And I know it's been tough on all of us in the world, really.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to making Times Square better than ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.